Bet you didn't see that one coming, key.
Oh man. Yeah, the perennial question of what key are we talking about when it's about magic? Is it me? Is it a book? Is it the clavis or key? Or is it the literal key? Kind of all three today.
Well, I do think
Hmm.
there are many people who have often speculated as to why the hell your name is what it is. Is there like a special secret meaning? Is there like some true occult signification? God knows what. That secret remains with us.
Mhm.
Only the three of us may know, and or if you've met us in person, then you know.
Yeah, you know how incredibly stupid it
No, don't
is.
say that. No, no, no. It's funny. There's humor
Hmm.
in it. It's a little jesting Joker-ified, Joker face paint wearing, we live in a society kind of
Mhm.
truth, right? But you are also known for literally being interested and very good at lock picking and the magics thereof, which we've referenced many times. And it feels very fitting that you've crafted for us an episode all on the lock and the key and the B key. Is there an A key?
I think so, yeah. I think we'll be talking about some methods by which you can create the A key today. Um,
What if the real A key was our friend all along?
yeah, what if it was the friends we made by stumbling into their house, having opened their door through less than licit means?
Wait, both of you. Have you played the Thieves Guild quest in Skyrim?
I did, yeah.
Think so, yeah.
Did you end up returning the skeleton key?
I don't think so. I think I kept it.
I think I returned mine at some point because I just enjoyed the lockpicking mechanic.
Wow, okay. Cut here, cut the episode, press publish. I, I I'm speechless.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Also, shout outs to the Nightingale cult in the Thieves Guild. That was some cool shit and really good armor set as well.
It's an awesome armor set. Although if you play Khajiit like I do, it doesn't actually look as good on you as it does any other
Yeah.
race in Skyrim, but they're just jealous of my snout.
Jealous of not getting the set bonus because I'm using plus 50 pugilist gloves with the alchemy and enchanting glitch
Oh
to
God.
become one punch Khajiit.
One Punch Khajiit was my first build too.
It's good shit.
Yeah, I didn't want to use weapons, so I was just like, God gave me claws. Excuse me, the nine divines gave me claws. I'm about to use them.
Skyrim got me acting funny suddenly saying there's nine demands.
Oh God.
Talos, preacher man.
Be not alarmed at the frightful howls which you may hear. It's finger, salt, and bypass key. Multipass key?
Yeah, multi-pass, multi-track drifting key. Originally in the notes for this episode, when I was, a little pulling back the curtain, there was no B today. It was a lock,
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which, bet you didn't see that one coming.
Oh my God.
So there's like multiple spiritual bees and not bees for this episode. For those of you keeping track at home.
Hmm.
Um, much as there are, multiple methods to open a door.
So true. You ever fuck with the ones that like that use key cards, like in hotels and stuff?
Sometimes, yeah,
Do you
because
have like a special playing card one for that one?
I have the either the traveler's hook of art or I have the over under tool of art.
Oh, okay, never mind.
The necromancer's flipper zero.
Yes. Yes.
It's true. Instead of the little dolphin icon, it's just Faust.
God. You summon Kyuramundi once and this is what happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh
Uh
man.
Remember to flip a switch. Check us out at patreon.com/the Frightful Howls. We have a bonus episode every month curated by and just for our patrons, a Discord server. We have Salt's Fantastic Almanac, a monthly live occult book club where we discuss a text of your choosing. This month we did Sinners, the amazing movie. It can also be a movie club, uh, movie that came out this year, 2025. We got show notes for every episode, a whole tier of monthly group spell work from the three of us on your behalf, and more. Also, remember to give us a like, rating, review on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you may be listening to us. It helps us fight the demiurge of the algorithm, and it helps Key specifically pass increasingly more complicated resistance rolls that are given to him by the universe, specifically by the archons of the demiurge, I should say.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, like Salt and I just watch in the background as this happens over and over and over again.
It's like you see some like astrolabe or like some sort of like mechanical like oratory like spinning around. And all of a sudden you just hear like down the chains of the different heavens and the gates to increasingly higher or lower realms, you just hear like nothing on one. Slight tension on two,
Oh
counter
God,
rotation on three.
not the lockpicking layer. Actually, you gave Salt a really cool silver astrolabe, I remember, and I saw him use it, and it was really fucking cool.
Hmm. Yeah, it's badass. That's like one of the special gifts, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I met up with a silversmith and was like, what can you do about this? And really got hooked up. So shout out to that guy.
Hell yeah. And remember to check out our services. Key offers personalized coaching in magic and mediumship, sorcery for hire readings, and custom talismans, oils, and tools. I offer bulk and Fancy readings, and Salt's books are closed, but keep an eye out for his astrological almanac on the Patreon. And lastly, hit us up on social media. I'm at Dragon Cunning, Salt is at SaltCNC, and Key is at barnowl.key. All right, gentlemen, what are we talking about? It's your episode, Key. So why is your namesake for today our topic?
Yeah, so initially today started out as a, lock picking overview, like, with the rich arcana of and long history of using locks and keys in even ranging from the most explicitly magical acts to more folklorically informed traditions and small things that have entered the mainstream, as we'll talk about. It just made a lot more sense to actually be like, instead of just being like, this is an incredibly rich tradition, to start talking about that a little bit. And explore some of the beauty of those things. So, of course, it being me, this episode has arcs. It's got some subsections, and
Hmm.
yeah, I just wanted to get into talking about why are we immediately co-opting this you know technology, like an explicitly mechanical device, into magical practice and using it as both a uh, a vessel, a talisman, an ingredient in the vessels of spirits or of, more complicated charges or workings, or yeah, like a tool unto its own uh, right. And it's always been striking and kind of compelling to me, like the way that it's not the most often in the world that we see other kind of mechanical devices or implements of artifice entering and immediately having an affinity with spirits in this way.
Hmm.
And I think, of course, as a area very rich in symbolism, going back to about 4,000 to 4,500 years ago of the earliest evidence of what we look at as a lock in the current sense, and not just like a bar across a castle door or something like that. Um, they immediately have all sorts of lore as both the primarily preserver of blessings for the home. Obviously, the device that brings the physical security and safety for all of those inside, the ability to contain the wealth or the fertility of a household, the symbolism of something that can, later on, especially with the advent of like a padlock, that can stay shut and can't really be tampered with. Of course, you can see the fertility symbolism here with the key entering the lock. Of course, that's like the whole phallic thing, and of course, we'll see its immediately evident use in love magic and as well as very cute things to highly compulsive love bindings in this way. Also then extend that metaphor to that same fertility and talk about, blocking that off for someone or specifically unblocking it through that locking or unlocking action. So immediately spirits, deities, all manner of things that go bump in the night, seeing this as well and being like, yeah, fuck with that.
I think also one important thing about locks and keys is just their relationship to binding, as you were saying.
Mhm.
So much love magic has to do with locks and keys. Accessing areas or accessing fields of knowledge has a lot to do with key and lock magic. I even think of in my native country in Serbia, padlock magic is hugely used for love. I know we'll talk a little bit about padlocks in Serbia in a bit, but one of the earliest like quote unquote like love related spells I've ever heard was actually just like overhearing chatting with my aunt and some of my cousins. So we were just like I remember being very young. We were talking about my great aunt's padlock because this is like really big one that goes into the basement. And we were chatting about this and saying like, oh, like padlocks can lock anything, including love, including fortune, including health. Like you might want to lock your health to be in a particular state so that if you're in a really good place in your life and you're really healthy, you might want to lock that and keep it somewhere, especially with a tree like the dogwood tree, the dren, so that your health remains healthiest as the dogwood, as we say, zdravko dren. But another thing we also talk about too is the importance of buying a padlock without knowing the price. The idea being that like there's already something about this item that's unknown to you. So like I was told, in order to make sure that you don't know the price of the padlock when you see one at a store, buy other random items and don't like check the price. So that when you get the total, you don't know how much of it was a padlock.
Mhm.
And then that particular oral charm that I often cite, Ključ mojim rečima nebeskoj visini, katnac u morskoj dubini, like the key of my words is in the height of the heavens or the sky, and the padlock is in the depths of the sea. We say that to clarify divination, but we also say it in front of padlocks in general, which we then, put all the way over, let's say your head and put it all the way down and even like throw it high over your head into a river or into a sea in order to lock something, which can also break a binding that you've put on somebody in case you've done magic on someone that you want gone now, in which case you'd have to put the key inside the padlock and chop it off with an axe at midnight. That's one way to dispel something. Or you can lock something in the reverse as well.
Yeah, I love it. And even, seeing that same uh technology like here in the States and kind of more broadly in North America, at least in my experience of um, when you want to either take something off of someone or to really just secure the current pattern of their life. Like one of the first ways that I saw this being employed was for fertility and specifically conception and contraception at that, um, wherein, the person, you will put the lock on one side of the room and you'll put the key on the other and you'll have them kind of walk over the imaginary line. Then you'll go and lock that padlock and be like, okay, let's maybe not be trying to have a kid right now. And then when you want to, you go get the key and pray over the lock, give it to the woman, have her unlock it, and then you're good to go. And that even brings forth all of that kind of the fertility and the blessings accumulated in that time.
Mhm. I think it's even worth noting that one of the terms that we have for personal concerns, like what it is that like your hair, your spits, your vaginal or seminal fluid, these kinds of things is taglock, which I believe first came about in the early 17th century, where you would see a combination of tag and lock, meaning a tuft or tress of hair or wool. But of course, later on, we have it mostly as an item of like a private material, including, clothes from your body or your sweat to represent a magical link to that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it originally was an entangled lock of hair, right? Especially sheep or livestock.
Hmm.
Later on, also meaning possibly human.
Yeah, totally. And kind of even in that, shout outs to Hagstone episode
Mhm.
where fairy locks, being matted um tufts of hair in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because ultimately, this magical folkloric sense of the word, while it developed later, there's still in its inception this understanding of like, what is it when fur or wool gets matted? It's possibly because of fairies, possibly because of
Hmm.
spirits. And so later on, this idea of something sticky that can't be removed from the original person, right? Like a link to you that's locked to your purpose, to your original code, means that it can still be used against you and to represent you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. To that end, the intimate nature of like the lock and the key matching
Mhm.
as like a metaphor for how to do magic with these locks itself, where you have to kind of tailor the thing to match the uh personal concerns and the makeup of the person themselves. And when this isn't quite going your way, like when you're encountering resistance to the persons whose concerns you may or may not allegedly be working, you can employ some of these same methodologies here to be like, here is how we get around some of this resistance. But I think that's one of the perennial back and forths and something that Salt and I have even talked about, where it's like there is so much magic out there just in terms of like raw codified things that you can do to prevent theft, to prevent illicit entry, and to really create like a security of a physical space, be it in a physical or I suppose like augmented physical, or in addition to uh, metaphysical ways.
Yeah, access control, it's not just physical, it's also spiritual.
Mhm.
Exactly, yeah. So kind of playing around with that, and this is kind of getting ahead of myself, but like a protection charm that's mentioned in Judica Isles, 5,000 spells.
Oh shit, the OG.
The OG, where you go through the house with either a new key or a found key, and you touch it to all of the doors and all of the different locks. Then you bind them together into like a wind chime and hang it up outside the front door.
I do fuck with that actually. Shout out to Ginger Kyles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, legit. Pulling a lot of individual spells out of that text today as one of the primary, just like here is a thing that you can do with a key, or here is a thing you can do with a lock, because they go hard.
Yeah, don't be sleeping on Judicial Isles, okay? Like that shit was my bibliomancy Bible when I was a teenager. I would like open it up and just be like, okay, what am I doing today?
Mhm. But would you happen to have put a key into it, perhaps?
Oh my
And
God. Well, hold on. We'll get to that. We'll
oh
get, I'm
man,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. But just to not get ahead of ourselves and go back to really securing fertility, securing wealth. One of the spells from Jutka Isles is to relate to the health and well-being of livestock in a pen or in a barn.
St. George's Blessing Spell. Lead all healthy animals 3 times around the perimeter of their field, barn, or home, always in a sunwise direction. The person leading the parade carries a lit torch, while the person bringing up the rear holds an open padlock in one hand, the key in the other hand. After the third round, the animals are led back in the barn. Turn the key in the lock, throw the key in a river or stream, while preserving the now permanently locked padlock.
And I think going back to the earlier point as well of like, chopping the key off while it's still in the keyway with an axe, or otherwise getting rid of the key in an irretrievable way, or destroying it somehow, really adds some oomph to whatever you're securing. And kind of adds that enchantment of like, hey, here's the state that I always want to persist. And even then the lock itself just becomes the talisman, kind of in the way of here's the thing that secured the blessing when it was ongoing. So now the blessing is secure.
Mhm.
And continues to work in that way, which is always good. And there are, a lot of bindings that can be done, as you can imagine, ranging from health in this way to most famously love, and binding people, binding a couple together, kind of without or with their knowledge. And at that, just wanted to touch on the tradition of like love locks, which, by the way, is a great way to build up a padlock collection for lockpicking practice. Just saying.
That's rude. No, don't be unlocking people's love locks on bridges. That's cruel. I mean, very witchy, I will say
Yeah.
though.
Mm-hmm. It's there's potency in that.
We in our
And
Discord server we have that emoji of like the lady with the kombucha, where she
yeah.
like tastes it and goes, "Oh," and then she tries it, go, "Oh, actually, I kind of, that's me whenever you suggest something like that."
Because what do you do with all those relationships and the way that you unlock them? You put them into the love oil that you're kind of dripping off of these locks at the same time and recollecting it. So bottom text.
Okay, that's fair. And that reminds me as well, since Judica Isles has that St. George's blessing spell, which very Vulcan, to be honest, the whole leading the animals around the barn and doing the key and lock one. I swear I've
Right.
heard very similar ones. There's one on terms of that this works for both love and the fertility of animals, which is if you take a specific loaf of bread that you bake on a very important feast, like Jurjevdan, for example, St. George's Day, sometimes it's called a stochin kolach, like a cattle cake. You would cut it at noontime lunch, and then you'd give pieces of it to shepherds and pregnant women. And then the rest you would carry out until you find an anthill. And then the person carrying the bread would cross themselves 3 times, braid a loaf with a lump of salt and a hen's egg, and then come back without looking back. But one of the things they might say during this process, like an oral charm, is Koliko mrva, toliko brava, which is however many ants, as many locks, saying as many as there are ants in this anthill, they lock up the fertility and keep it
Mhm.
safe in their network of tunnels. And you could do the same thing for love. Like, for example, like a girl on St. George's Day Eve or St. George's Day, right in the morning, might do this with her first bit of bread. Or the little bit that she'll keep for, let's say, from the midday meal, she'll go in and do this and say, like, may this love be locked up by the ants. So even without like a physical lock, the premise is very similar because one of the ultimate nature's padlocks are anthills.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
What if you led the ants 3 times around the perimeter of the field or barn?
I would love to be able to do that. I would like drop little bits of honey and create like a whole network for them. But actually, isn't like the ultimate lockpick of the anthill just like the queen? Like that is the key, right? Because I remember
Hmm.
once we were there was there was a situation
Oh
where
God, yeah.
sugar was not placed back correctly in a barn, and Key went and found a bunch of ants that were now devouring one of the coffee makers. So he found the queen and took it away, and it instantly dispersed absolutely everything.
Hmm.
Which is very much that potency, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, queen ants go in most of my oils for the protection of a house.
Hmm.
And by the way, you can like buy them online.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to, pour over a bunch of spilled sugar and be, bit by ants with a magnifying glass in hand, being like, "Where are you?"
Literally.
Have you
But
eaten
yeah,
that ant lollipop I gave you yet, Key?
yeah, I have not eaten it yet. It's been enshrined even.
Yeah, there's like a lollipop with actual ants in it that Salt gave Key. See, like there's the astrolabe in pure silver, and then there's the ant lollipop.
It was painstakingly obtained, and I'm waiting for the review. I'm waiting for it.
Well, actually, you made it yourself, right? Like you dipped the ants in the mold for the lollipop, right?
Yeah.
So powerful.
That's a very sheepish yeah.
I love it. But yeah, I think the just that point of like, the key being in the form of the ant in that way being integral to the house protection.
Mm.
One of the classico style things that you can do is even a key, like an old school skeleton key hung above the front door is or hung above the bed for that matter, of like where you're sleeping. Classico style house protection. Partially just because it's a big ass chunk of iron, and partially because it is the thing that protects the home in that way.
Totally. I always have one over my bed.
Hmm.
There's like a whole increasing levels of complexity to the stuff I have over my bed, but that is definitely one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. To speak of like the love locks for continuing to jump to my namesake. um, yeah, of course, the uh, barring my bastardry with all of these people,
Mm.
and the sympathy, of course, being that the lock is never opened. So, in that way, so too does the couple never come apart. And one of the things in looking into the origins of this that I ran across was Serbia mentioned.
Serbia mentioned.
Of course, the first or earliest written mention of this that anyone has been able to find as a tradition coming from Serbia.
It's interesting. I'm very fascinated that this is apparently the origin. So the story as it goes is from Vrnjačka Banja, which is a spa town in Serbia. And the lore is that around World War One, there was a school teacher named Nada who fell in love with an officer named Relja, and they met on this bridge. Oh, they used to meet on this bridge. And then when Relja went off to war in Greece, he ended up falling for another woman, and this broke Nada's heart, and she died of grief. But afterwards, local girls began to write their names and their beloveds on padlocks and attaching them to this very same bridge to protect their love from a similar fate. So what's interesting is the bridge, instead of being associated with like eternal love because they became a legendary couple, ended up being associated with tragedy. And so it's in that classic reversal, it has cultivated this spirit of warning against that fate. And so this apparently is one of the earliest documented instances of love padlocks. I'm aware that the Great Wall of China also has a bunch of love padlocks associated with it and continue to this day to be attached to it because the Great Wall is a symbol of eternity, right? So it
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense that you would have something that eternal and long lasting as the place where you want to lock your love. But the trend didn't really go global because of Serbia. Uh, it became more popular in the early 2000s thanks to an Italian novel, Ho voglio di te, meaning I want you, by Federico Moccia. And in the book, there's a couple that affixes a padlock to Rome's Ponte Milvio and then throws the key into the Tiber River. And so people started, repeating this gesture in Italy. And now there's lots of bridges in like Paris and New York and Seoul, even anywhere that's picturesque. But I think one thing that's interesting is obviously there's a lot of, I'm sure you've heard this story time and time again, that like cities eventually are like, don't be doing that because the
Hmm.
padlocks will weigh a lot and can damage historical bridges. But however, in specifically in Vrnjačka Banja, this has not been the case. In fact, not only do people still attach padlocks to this bridge, which is called Most Ljubavi, or like the Bridge of Love, but actually they encourage the tradition too, and they treat the bridge as actually a site of cultural heritage and is a big attraction for the town. So like
Hmm.
newlyweds and couples might actually go there specifically to do this. And there are souvenir and postcard padlocks that you can buy right there, as well as there's like there's festivals too for the Days of Love, especially around certain Orthodox days that celebrate newlyweds.
Love it. Yeah, there are a lot of places that really don't like you doing that because they're like it can fuck with the bridge. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
they encourage it because it's some cool shit.
Also,
And
it's a stone bridge, so it's a little bit
mhm.
different that way. It's not, you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's a,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah. People gotta get better at building bridges, I guess. Many
Wow.
meanings.
Wow. Wow. Rude. Key's like, I'm not impressed. Why don't, if you didn't want your bridge to collapse from thousands of locks being put on it because of a folklore, maybe you should have built a
Mhm.
stronger bridge. He says to the
Mhm.
city of Paris.
Yeah. Oh man, it just makes me think of like these montages that I've seen becoming increasingly popular of like locksmiths just popping like hundreds of them off at a time and adding them to their collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yep, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there's a lot of juju in that. And so if you choose to do this yourself, maybe put it in a location where it won't be removed or an intrepid lock sports enjoyer doesn't take it and drain oils through it.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
agree. It just fucking great technique though, I will say. Great for love oils. You're very right.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's a long, long, long tradition of using both locks and keys or fragments thereof
Mm.
for this. So finally, in getting to my namesake, there is a lot of love magic that can be done here, especially in the context that I'm familiar with, like Scandinavian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the prominence of like the big ass church keys and all of the magic that is done with them. So there's a multivariate practice, but one of the examples that I got from this Swedish locksmith's blog, which I'll include in the show notes, um, is as follows.
During the early morning service on Christmas Day, or a Sunday on which the priest reads the gospel, thread your handkerchief 3 times to the church key and state your intent. When you strike a girl with this handkerchief, she will fall in love and be compliant.
So of course, this being the primary method of using the key, apart from scraping some of the metal off of it and including it in whatever you're doing, Also a possible way to make love filters, just saying. But
Hmm.
the passage through that specific hole as being a way to consecrate different items. And we see this for all sorts of things, with water, especially that's poured through it, being a kind of panacea. Lots of accounts of specific church keys being good for specific ailments by passing the water through and either bathing or washing the afflicted person. Of course, Sphyngo with lead or wax pouring divination, common to see this.
Yes, yes, I was going to say one of the common ways to divine as well with a key, besides the very famous Bible and key method, which I know you'll talk about a little bit later in this episode, is pouring wax, beeswax through a keyhole of a large skeleton key as a way to read the shapes when they fall into water. Very
Mhm.
similar to lead and tin pouring. Lead pouring, of course, being traditional, tit pouring being what I advise. I am trained in this. I've been trained to do Saliva Strava, the pouring off of fear, I suppose you would say in English. And this is this is definitely one method of doing it. I will say though, for the one that you mentioned with the when you strike a girl with this handkerchief, she not only falls in love but be compliant. First of all, rude. And secondly, I think with the idea of you're right, it's the handkerchief, right? So like
Mhm.
it gains the property of the key, kind of like the whole ants thing I mentioned earlier.
Right.
So imagine how many other things it has handkerchiefs you could thread to a key in which the whole fertility and function of the community, right? Everyone going to that church every Sunday is lies in that key, right? How much power is there in the person who keeps that key? In some places, that's the priest who owns the church. In other places, it's the person in the village who happens to own the property that the church is on and then graciously allows the priest to live in
Mhm.
it. So there's a well, many such cases, right? So there's
Mhm.
many places where you'd have to think about like what is that key really representing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So be careful with your own keys, guys, like the ones that hang on your key hooks.
Mhm.
Make sure that you know if someone puts a powder on that or oil on that, they can have access to a lot more than just, your house, but metaphorically everything that belongs under it.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of to that effect, that's why found keys or like ancient keys or older keys are especially valuable in terms of material because it allows you to uh if depending on how nasty you want to get with it, um, you in one way or another you have the fertility and all of the wealth that is bound up in that place. And of course you have the properties of whatever opens. So obviously here a church key being used for community healing, sanctifying different items. Imagine, applications of doing this with an old like jailhouse key
Master
where
keys as well. Really,
exactly,
really
yeah.
useful. Um, very. But also a bit tricky if it's for your place of work. Losing that can be a big problem. So you don't want to take too much of it.
Mhm. Yeah, key duplication machines are your friend, maybe, depending on who is listening. But yeah, the kind of to go back to that physical property, like pouring anything through it sanctifies it, grants it the properties of by way of that sort of contagion of whatever's happening here. We mentioned imagine passing other things. One of the funniest ones that I saw in this collection from this locksmith was the passage of branches or other rods through like an exceptionally large keyhole to create different tools. And there was one for salt to read.
If small children are unquiet with much crying, shalt thou take a fresh birch switch and thread it through the church key, or break off such a switch on the church road, and with it strike them until they be good.
Ouch!
Youch. So it is quite maximalist, and it is kind of the classic spell where it's like uh do the thing. Uh is it magic? Maybe. Does it work? Absolutely. So but just the passage of other implements through the keys like this as a method of sanctifying. So passage of different cloths, as was mentioned, to give different properties, passage of different roots and herbs in specific ways to prepare and sanctify them or otherwise harvest them. Passage of wax through this to sanctify or otherwise do it. Or even, scrying through this particular hole if a spirit or if another magician is like throwing up wards at you, be like, well, this is the key into the truth of whatever's happening. This is the key that opens up your specific ward or door that is blocking me. So let me take a little look see here. Apart from creating the rod of art, this is actually a really useful tool for lifting malefica, removing warts, removing elf shot, and conditions of this nature. Different folklore saying that keys with different numbers of like teeth or different specific biddings are better at this, or saying a key with three teeth is particularly good at removing warts if the prayers that accompany it with are also done in threes, lifting curses by specifically unlocking them, or cleansing the person off with it in a particular way, or just keeping a particular key found or from a given location or that is known to be a particular magical artifact on the person. And one of the other things is just having that property of the key that opens a specific thing itself being able to emanate its property of something that opens other things. One of the applications that this is frequently used in is easier childbirth.
Hmm.
So with keys either put under the mattress or wherever the person is giving birth, or for easier birth, taking three different keys, unlocking three different locks, and then bundling those up in red fabric and giving it to the mother at the time, or keeping it in the bed, or even back to how to introduce a lot of like fertility, health, and wellness. Shout out to Judica Isles because she included a formula that is originally Moroccan in her notes for returning someone to health.
Obtain 7 keys, each from a different house, each from a different town. Heat them until they're red hot on an anvil, or a cast iron pan can substitute as well. Blend water from 7 different sources. The original Moroccan formula requests water from 7 different wells, which is itself an adaptation of the ancient Pan-Semitic miraculous water from 7 springs. Then pour this blended water over the red-hot keys. The patient is then exposed to the steam. Catch the water as it comes off the anvil or pan, and when it cools off, use it to bathe the afflicted parts.
So again, here just seeing it as a tool to in part sanctify and in part provide health, wellness, and the removal of illness, unshackling this person from that particular condition. And I think even the evocative nature of like heating up the keys until they're red hot. This is something that will come back again, but as a means of making them like really vibrant and kind of in that system heating them, and with that understanding of what is it to heat something and what is it to cool something, making it more able to do its job, which is to open things and to unlock different possibilities and outcomes. I also just really like the technique of putting red hot pieces of metal into water and then bathing off of it. Just good tech in general. Just saying.
Hmm.
Do you guys remember that one YouTube video with like the red hot knife that was like everywhere for a while?
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes. The heating the knife and then making it cut random things.
Yeah, 1,000 degrees or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's just what's coming to mind.
Hot nickel ball on whatever wax pair of images that have been bound together and lock to the padlock that is creating the love spell on the person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as well, just having danced around it, keys also being used for divination. Specifically, found keys can be used as pendulums in different ways. Bound to red cloth usually, and then those can be, manipulated, held above a text, usually the Bible in this case, to read a particular fortune, or the original technique of putting the key at into the Bible, sometimes at a random page. Sometimes I've seen specifically the Gospel of John or any of the four Gospels as an extension of that. Often as well, I've seen it put on the first page of the Gospel of Ruth. And then Ruth 1:16 will be read while doing this. In any case, wherever you should choose to put this key, you bind the Bible shut, often as I've seen it done with red ribbon, and then you hold the key. Either have a child hold it or you have two people hold it between their little fingers, and you see if it turns or falls while reciting the names of possible thieves, possible situations, anything that you need a yes no answer to, really.
It's the classic.
And I think as well with, some of the divination, just a reference that like most of kind of like the contemporary hoodoo bone throwing sets that you'll see, as well as some of the other ones, and by extension, other systems that throw bones, you'll see a key included. And obviously the symbolism of that's going to be idiosyncratic, but trending, whatever it's seeing is being flipped, whatever it's seeing is being unlocked or brought into the reading in some different way.
Such a classic. I think it pairs nicely with kind of the scissors and shave type divination systems as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and knowing me, anything where it's ritually appropriate for something to be dropped and falling to the floor is all good in my books.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think just to throw it into the mix, like even the selection of the particular keys that you're using will sometimes be important. Like this distinction between like what is a male and what is a female key.
Yes. Depends on the system, right? Depends on kind of what
Hmm.
keys you have manufactured around. I was taught that male keys are solid on the bottom, like where it ends, where the bits are.
Hmm.
Whereas female keys are hollow and you can actually load them. You can put powders inside, you can tip them with a crystal even. Plenty of people actually sell like key necklaces, like skeleton keys that have like a quartz crystal at the tip.
Hmm.
But like I know of things that you put in them that you need to tap with a fulgurite, for example, if it's small enough. All that's fun stuff. I think every quote unquote tradwitch on the planet has like a key with like a thread through a hagstone, right, as like a charm, because of the obvious symbolism of it too, right? But I also know of other systems that see male keys have weighing 1 bit and female keys have 2 bits.
Yeah, exactly. Like the is there just the big protruding thing, or is there a hole on the end? Which
Hmm.
itself is used for if you have an old school key to a warded lock that has it done up in a very particular way, you can send and remove like elf shot and things like that through it. It's
Yes.
one of the classicos for that as well. And always an interesting difference between what is it to pour through the like giant hole on the end versus what is it to like drop allegedly a bunch of lit matches and needles through the little round bit that would normally pass the warning and see what happens.
Hmm.
So in any case, an overview of things you can do with keys and things like this. As was mentioned a couple times, there's also the genre of the master key, both as a physical item that will open, any lock in like an access controlled area, versus as like a genre of spell that is like kind of a road opener or blockbuster, like unlocking of different things or granting mastery, insight, divinatory clarity. Very useful shit, and I love it. But there's kind of a funny history where that came from. And it actually goes back to some new thought texts from like the 1910s because I went on a bit of a lark tracking this down. So really going back to Charles Hanel's the Master Key system, which was a really popular at the time 24-week long correspondence course where it was like a mixture of new thought ideas as like a little essay, and then there would be an exercise at the end, which is why it was popular because it would focus on like personal but also psychic and spiritual development. Having taken a look at it and been like, yeah, this seems kind of legit. It's just meditation and affirmation that you can do the thing.
Mm.
But this really enters into the hoodoo scene because DeLawrence, the good old DeLawrence catalog in the 67th Book of Moses fame, wrote a book in 1914 called The Master Key, which was his attempt to capitalize on and possibly directly plagiarize the popularity and the ideas of the Master Key system. And in tracking down a copy of this book, the first page of it is incredible. It just made me smile reading it.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to include it here. The Master Key by L. W. DeLawrence teaches
Scientific concentration,
Mind training,
will culture,
thought control,
mental discipline,
attention to observation,
memory thinking,
public speaking conversation,
reading imagination,
the cultivation of the senses,
control over mind and body,
the act of breathing,
bad habits,
willpower in all its types and manifestations,
thought control in public performances such as speaking, singing, and playing,
self-consciousness,
personal magnetism,
to develop a strong personality to acquire poise and distinction,
rational and moral education,
ethically directed individual mental efficiency,
the psychology of faith and doubt,
concentration applied to health and disease,
concentration applied to fear and disease expectancy,
attention concentration during the period of gestation,
the secret of abundance,
poverty cure,
the idea of getting rich,
opportunity in a new light.
reaping and sowing.
so it's everything they teach you in Harvard Business School and everything they don't teach you in Harvard Business School all in one.
Those are my literally my two favorite books because between the two of them, they have the sum total of all human knowledge.
It's true.
This reads like a shit post. First of all, tag yourself. Which one are you?
I'm the act of breathing.
Okay. Salt, which one are you?
Bad habits.
I am the Seeker of Abundance because Ezra Klein is on speed dial in his house.
uh,
Guys, if we just redefine the definition of poverty, we can say that our preferred economic system has lifted more people out of poverty than any other.
it's true. We can provide more by never exploiting anything from anybody.
Yeah, what if we just produced more?
Yeah. What if we just never interrogated why there isn't more?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we just completely abandon, it's all scarcity mindset, actually. The whole reason people aren't rich is because people don't make more, and it's not efficient.
What if we didn't need to redistribute a finite amount of wealth? What if it just number went up constantly?
Yeah, what if the scale just kept going?
What if the bubble never popped? Yes, in my backyard.
Yeah. Because so that key can steal your lock when you go in his backyard.
So that I can invite Ezra Klein out to a moonlit serenade in which I
You
just
serve him a
sing Bella
milkshake.
Ciao.
Oh yeah, you sing
And
you sing Bella Ciao and you serve him a very frothy milkshake.
mhm.
I don't know
From
why
a
I don't know why this got into you seducing Ezra Klein.
it, it's to develop a strong personality to acquire poise and distinction, right?
Yeah, yes, yes, very true.
It's the poverty cure.
Just does read like a shitpost and I'll also read like the average Gen X capitalist.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop right there before I get
You will own nothing.
it.
And you
You'll be
yeah.
happy seeing other people own more.
uh
Anyway, what's up with master keys? Why is that like a whole product line in Hoodoo?
Yeah, so seeking to capitalize on Dolores, seeking to capitalize on Hanel, Valmore comes onto the scene. Another, of course, very famous and influential in the history of um, hoodoo, especially in the North, Chicago mail order supplier.
Hmm.
They released a master key product line, taking these ideas of that were listed above, this very abundant mindset. Ezra, call me, hit the tip. um, no, but they released a master key product line with art and branding and talismanic images that are based on the talismanic images from Dolorence's master key. And of course, this is where a lot of fun things in magic, especially as it interacts with commercialized stuff, comes from. And I kind of fuck with it because people have taken it and really ran with it and made it their own and kind of riffed and innovated over the last 100 years of what this technology is and really developed it into something of an arcana all of its own.
Hmm.
So, of course, keys, especially old ones or found ones, will have their own um, quality and will have their own contagion based on what they open, what they do, but they can be further ritually empowered and can be further developed into um, consecrated and up to and including ensouled artifacts. And I think good friend of the pod, Matt Venus, really expounded on this in his recent Master Key working.
Yeah, this is great. Currently sold out, but do check out Matt's classes and his wonderful website, Spiritus Arcanum. He's got um he's got a lot of really amazing conjure oils and different kinds of products and curios available. But I remember talking to him some time ago about this Master Key talisman he had made, which was meant to access, grant mastery and power over all kinds of different workings. So it was for opening doorways to protection, healing, spirit communication, psychic ability, good fortune, prosperity. The idea being that it's less about like the key as an instrument of opening doors and more of as a way to have access to any realm you might need it. So one of the ways that he worked this by was feeding these skeleton keys and fumigating them in his own master key incense and oil. And then touching them to the entries of various places, including graveyards, churches, hospitals, police stations, markets, banks, courthouses, gardens, and so on. Jason Miller actually teaches a very similar method in his Sorcerer of Hecate course for enchanting a key using Hecate. Obviously, a goddess very well respected in her dominion over keys and thresholds and so on. And so the idea being that you keep touching this key to different locks and giving it power over all these different things. I've done this with various different methods, including adding an oil or a powder to the tip that touches the lock to grant access and then to kind of save it almost to the key like a USB file, and then you come back and now you have access to all these different domains, so you can wear it and use it at any time that you need to grant your ability. ability to further, call on the virtues of the various things that you attach it to whenever you need, including like, let's say you're doing a divination and you need to clarify something, you might want to hold that key as a pendulum over your reading
Mhm.
and be like, well, you touched yourself to like various places that I might represent the various things I want to be reading about. So grant me access to them indeed.
Yeah, totally. Or if you need to, on the fly, really bulk up some sort of material. So like, beyond its original property of being a key and its affinity with crossroads, like if you go out and get that dirt and put it into a bowl, put the key in there and just start turning it, calling to all of the other crossroads and buildings and things you've done this to, suddenly you're going from, just one to 3 to 7 to 21 to 121, like really amping up and quite literally unlocking the properties of the materia and the spirits therein. Yeah, so just speaking to that, like various ways have developed for making like a literal master key or other empowered skeleton key talismans. As we mentioned with mats and as you expanded on your own Sfinga, just to throw methods out to the people listening, very popular as well to do this with like St. Peter's keys.
Hmm.
Of course, very prominent holder of keys and wrapped up in all sorts of crossroads and unlocking of things mythology with his kind of mapping onto different warrior deities, namely Ogun, but to a lesser extent and Entwine extent, Eligwa.
Hmm.
But in any case, there's a development that I just wanted to include from James O'Doon, aka Delimin Ra's text Hoodoo Crossroads Conjure Sorcery, because it goes hard and it definitely works. So you get two skeleton keys as a pair, and you place them into a pot full of water along with Abracamino, which when I was text to speech transcribing this out of my copy of the text, it went down as abracadabra leaves, which I mean, kind of. But also sea salt and some camphor tablets and Florida and coconut water. Then you boil this until it all boils away. You take the keys, you go to a crossroads, then you dig a pit in the middle, which you fill partially with sea salt, and you lay the keys inside and you drizzle them with a mixture of honey, red palm oil, and more abracaminos leaves. Already quite evocative. And then, him working in his style, you sacrifice a rooster to the pit at this point, but he recommends that a full bottle of a good quality and strong red wine can be used as a substitute for blood here. So do what you know.
Hmm.
And from that, there is a prayer given to different crossroads deities or spirits that you have pacts with. Like it's a very good general blessing for this type of thing. And then you cover up the pit and you leave it buried for 9 nights. You dig that up on the ninth night and you take only one of the keys with you and you leave the other buried in that crossroad with a new round of offerings. So it's leaving like um, a twin there that can be fed and offered to and used by the spirits and kind of opens that portal back to that location, which I like. I fuck with it.
Hmm.
And just saying it works.
And I feel like this is something that's I've seen this technique around in different places where you have the twin left, buried. And I find that really great because then it has permanent access to that crossroads, as it were,
Mhm.
or permanent access to wherever you bury it. So I have a few different keys like this that are buried in certain locations with their twins. And the way that I bound them together is by keeping them on me for a full lunar month,
Mhm.
in which I anointed the red thread that bound them with my own personal concerns, and I kept them pretty lubricated throughout. Like I know one person who would like keep it in their underwear, for example, or would always had it in their bra. But I always had it on my literally hanging on my keychain and kept it everywhere. And I always spat on it every day. And then finally, when they were severed and removed from each other and put in on the pit where, at the crossroads where I buried him for another month, that original one is able to call to its twin forever.
Hmm.
So I recommend for folks try a version of this and see what works, see how that actually see how that channels for you so that you're able to actually bring about a kind of collection of affects that you need, other kinds of sources that you need to your key. It's very easy to do. Go to any antique shop, buy two skeleton keys, and just go for it.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's a really good tech. Similarly, have a collection of these keys laying around,
Hmm.
and they're really useful. And going back to that idea of that loopy bit on the end of the key, immediately becomes a portal back to that place. And just as much as you can bless things, you can certainly call.
Hmm.
So, one of the other kind of innovations and techniques that has become popular, and in my opinion, rightly so, because it works, are using like St. Peter keys as a talisman. And usually this will be, extremely evocative of his own heraldry, which is two keys that are crossed and bound together in red. And this is used as a tool for a variety of different things, primarily, both crossing and uncrossing people. Starcastus has a lot of really detailed exposition on the use of this tool and just some ideas. So go uh, check all of her stuff out, as always. Perennial rep on this podcast.
We love Sarcassus. We love
That
on a
we do.
star.
And really good emphasis of like always keep the keys facing upward, lest you cross yourself when you're cleansing off with them. And take the keys. You can do some protection stuff where you take them point down, uh, bind them up in fabric, roll them away from you, and then you go out and you bury them at the foot of a stop sign, which I love, to prevent your enemies from sending whatever conditions at you and instead turning it on them.
Hmm.
Which good shit.
There's a little parallel with the horseshoe charms as well here, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do like lighting them on fire with spiritual colognes, or like dropping hot fire onto a lock or other cross condition situation when keys fail. So like having that fire drip, from the original
Mhm.
keys onto the lock that represents the issue, or onto anything that represents really like where things aren't working as planned. And obviously with palm oil and honey being lubricants, right? That like lubricate our ability to pray to the gods and pray to our spirits and make
Mhm.
our spells more efficacious, because now the palm oil is more than just a substitute for blood, right? It's also this kind of universal lubricant in many ways.
Right.
So I think there's a real beauty in these techniques with keys to say that like I mean when some spell that I work doesn't actually succeed, let's say like I've done a lot to work it but it doesn't actually like become efficacious, I'll go back and I'll there's an oral charm I know, speaking of St. Peter, where I go to Peter and Paul and I say, as your bodies lie waiting for the resurrection forever. So too do these spell remnants that weren't successful lie in wait and now resurrect in order to bring about the original efficacy that I
Mhm.
petitioned for. And then I reignite it with keys, or with sometimes I light them on fire with Florida water. Sometimes I simply put them all together in a big bowl and set the whole thing on fire and recharge it. Sometimes I feed it different kinds of like lubricants and so on, all kinds of things.
Yeah, totally. Big fan of lighting the keys on fire. And with the dripping flaming alcohol technique, I especially love doing that with lock picks to get into that. And leaning on those tools in spell work for when other shit just doesn't work. So really, lighting them up, getting them nice and hot because then they're also kind of jumping around and helping me out, at least in the way that I'm using them. And, for those familiar with using a rake or things like that, I find that makes you ridiculously lucky as is required for the use of that tool, which is always good and opens up a lot of avenues for enchanting on how to get around points of resistance. So for the people who practice both of those things, try that out. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, as you mentioned, keeping my keys and picks, well maintained, well fed, palm oil, honey, things like that. Of course, if you know the what is being referenced there with palm oil and honey, do the thing. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, different plants of various kinds themselves being considered keys, and thereby keeping them with my tools or using them themselves. So one of the things that I actually like to do is it's a bit of an innovation and riffing on like the spiritual colognes as well, but using four thieves vinegar, because I'm like I don't want to get caught,
Yeah.
and keeping those plants like wormwood, meadowsweet, marjoram, and sage with the picks as though they were implements themselves, like either a stalk or a piece of the wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, different, plant allies and different animal allies, like we mentioned with all the toad bone stuff. Even, considering what does it mean to pack the lock or touch to the lock, these things that are keys in a much broader sense of the term. Um,
Makes me think even of just the Raskovnik, this famous
mhm,
legendary plant from the Balkans that opens any door or opens any lock. And, I was taught that it's a hedgehog that you have to capture and put into a cage, specifically a baby hedgehog, because then the mother will go find the Raskovnik and use it to unlock the cage and free her baby.
mhm.
And then this is this plant that you can't find otherwise, and it has to be a chthonic animal that brings it to you. And everyone says it's legendary, everyone says alleged. It doesn't actually exist, it's just like a folkloric thing. Um, it's real. It exists. I've only seen it once, okay? And it was thanks to my grandfather. And I mean, he did the whole thing with a hedgehog, okay? But like, having said that, hedgehogs are lock opening animals for us as well. They open the ability to see spirits, to speak to them, especially to communicate with them. And so hedgehogs' hearts and both the plant known as the hedgehog's heart as well as a literal hedgehog's heart are key ingredients in road opening, as it were, powders. Although we don't call them road opening in the same way as in hoodoo, but we will say, that which opens any lock.
Always good stuff.
Hmm.
And of course, the it being us, we got to throw some PGM.
Yes, very
And
true.
especially things that open any lock in that same way. Um, One of my faves of all time, PGM 13, 327 to 334. This is page 181 in the Betts edition.
To open doors by use of a name. Open, open, four quarters of the cosmos, for the Lord of the uninhabited world comes forth. Archangels, decans, angels rejoice. For Aeon of Aeon himself, the only and transcendent, invisible, goes to this place. Open, door. Here, bar. Fall into two parts, lock. By the name Aya Einrikath, cast up, earth. For the Lord, all things you contain, for he is the storm sender and the controller of the abyss, master of fire. Open, for Akebrikrom commands you. Say Akebrikrom 8 times, it is the name of Helios.
Always love this one because of, that same parallel of like, not only will this just open a literal lock, like it will fall into two parts, which, by the way, if you're really grooving with the spell, it will. Um,
It like slices like a katana straight down the middle, and like there's like a dramatic pause, and then it splits apart and falls to the ground in like a very dramatic anime level bonk.
you are already unlocked. Um, oh man. Um, but yeah, like uh praying in this way, open four corners of the cosmos. Um, you can just be calling forth whatever spirit. Like if you are in a weird pinch where it's like, this is definitely not a time that I can be talking with this guy. Consider what this is to loosen the bonds of that spirit, or loosen whatever condition prevents them from being with you at that time.
Hmm.
And there are some pretty excellent parallels um, with even using like the physical locks in that way, like just kind of enchanting, like opening it and being and repeating it by naming any impediment to the spirit manifesting, unlocking it, and then just be like, okay, whatever's been preventing you, it's unlocked. It opens as a lock, and doing that until they show up.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's not a surprise that it's Helios, right? Just imagine the power of the sunlight being able to stream through any lock.
Yeah, totally. And I think even to the point of like, spirits who can be a little freaky, um, being want to enter through keyways
Hmm.
and keyholes in that way. And like, if a spirit can do this, it speaks to kind of their mastery over that, and their ability to kind of be anti restriction, to be unbounded and quite literally unlocked, I guess, in that way.
Hmm.
There's the great other one as well that's actually from just the page before, in PGM 13, 289 through 93, um, which is like kind of the Christianized version of the same spell, like the same ritual action, which is like the hear me, O Christ of torments, help in necessities, O merciful one in violent hours. You who are able to do much in the world, who created compulsion and punishment and torture, and then you hiss thrice and then eight times, and then you repeat the name. And then let every bond be loosened, let every force fail, let all iron be broken, every rope or every strap, let every knot, every chain be opened, let no one compel me, for I am Equilibrium. Some good shit.
Some good shit.
Just to throw it in the mix that we have, reference, but of course, PGM 12, 160 through 78, it's page 159. That's to break bonds, open locked doors, free prisoners, and deliver from danger. The classic.
Hmm. So how can someone protect themselves from you if you're gonna go froth your milkshake, invite them to your yard, break their locks? What are some anti-bypasses?
Oh man, I mean, tons and tons and tons. Like, um, one of the more common genres out there of spell work, like we mentioned, just being straight up like anti-theft.
Hmm.
Different, um, even arcanas of like praying to different door gods and door saints and things like this. Or whatever door guardian, or to the physical door of your house itself. Speaking to the lock, making sure it's as cared for and of, um, as these tools that we were mentioning that you can create earlier. One of the techniques that I really like is taking um, the key to your own place, like the key that would open your own doors, and like really strongly like blessing it with whatever protection stuff you have going on. Even presenting it to those different guardian spirits or ancestors that you might have, and be like, this is here's the pass. And kind of negotiating what that is with your house spirit, as well as just keeping um all of the doors, all of the locks, yeah, well maintained. There are different plants as well, like mistletoe, extremely notably. that itself acts as a key, so you can use that to bless the keyways of different locks to be like let only such and such key open it, and then keep your own bound up with some mistletoe.
Hmm.
It's a classico style.
Classico style. Yeah, I just love the kinds of decoy spells where you create decoy locks, or you anoint your every lock and every hinge, especially because like you
Hmm.
want to protect your actual front door and back door, let's say, from trespassing for sure. But witches don't come in through those holes, right? They come in through
Hmm.
hinges, they come in through like weird places, corners, where there's a draft in a room and you don't even notice it. And that's what you gotta also protect with your, whether it's your conjure oils like firewall protection, check out Gary Norioki at Manticore's Den, he has a great one.
Hmm.
Or whether it's certain protection oils that you just want to have for blotting out the evil eye. My most recent charms that I made with in collaboration with Vanessa of Sword and Scythe are available, and all kinds of other things.
Totally, yeah. Just keeping that shit on lock with your house spirit too.
Totally. Yeah. Give a copy of your quote unquote master key, even if it's not the literal key, to your house spirit. Hide
Hmm.
it somewhere in their shrine so they can have sovereignty over your home and continue to protect it.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a token of the arbiter of who is welcome and who isn't
Mm-hmm.
being the key. So if anyone's having it, it might as well be them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's keys and locks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, just a bit of an overview of just some ideas to kick around and play with. Like, really, this is just to say, go make master keys, and then go use the lock that the keys come with to test your own wards and see if you can bypass them. See how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Testing and testing and testing again these different things, and then using it as a tool after the fact.
And then go through the entire list of Dolorence's master key thing that Salt and I read out loud and make sure you enchant for all of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially the bad habits.
It was supposed to be protection from bad habits, right? Or control over bad habits. Unless
Unless
Illness.
my bad habit is reading Ezra Klein articles.
real. I hear he's the liberal Joe Rogan. Huh.
I stop. Can I put like a lock spell on liberals to stop trying to quote unquote find the liberal Joe Rogan?
I would hope so.
It's enough. Enough.
Enough of this abundant search. It is abundantly obvious.
Yeah, literally. Well, thank you for this well-researched intro to all things locks and keys, very befitting of your namesake. Do you have an Akashic record that is similarly abundant?
Oh fuck. Yeah, it's you know, that entire book read backwards over NPR's Iraq war coverage. I gotta cut that.
No, no, no. Keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it. Oh no.
For the people listening, don't get it fucking twisted. I'm a mouse. No.
Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ, that was really funny. Salt's muted, but we know he's laughing. My
Uh,
goodness.
fucking hell. My Akashic record for today is Locked Club, specifically the track Iraq, which, we are very abundantly covering.
Oh my God. So funny. Mine is the Star Monster flip of Dochi's Nissan Altima. One, because it's, in my opinion, the best. a remix of Nissan Altima. Um, and also just don't get it twisted.
Oh, that's so good.
I can't believe that video doesn't have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. Go give it some love.
Mhm. Go, abundantly acquire hundreds and hundreds, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get yourself that Nissan Altima.
Oh my God. Get that VW Polo.
Get that yak tooth.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Get that goon coin.
He only sends like Azerbaijan technology memes to the group chat.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
very
Skabob taught me how to lockpick.
it's a very abundant mindset for sure.
Oh man.
And what's our license to depart?
Oh, License to Depart is another classic from the PGM. This time a deep cut toward the end. PGM 36.
Damn.
Yeah.
All for the Dickens.
Exactly, yeah. But this is PGM 36, 312 through 320. This is on 277 of bets for those following along, which is Charm to Open a Door. And I will preface this by saying if any person listening is able to get us the component that this thing requires, you know where to DM us.
It's Discord, it's Instagram, it's the withcunningcommand.com contact page, it's frightfulhouse@gmail.com. If you have this, mail it to us and you'll be rewarded richly in the afterlife. You'll be personally buried in Salt's tomb when he has his pyramid, with all of his astrological treasures.
You will be buried in my backyard because yes, in my backyard.
You'll be married in my ziggurat, in my in my Bosnian pyramid.
You will have infinite Bovis to
God. Oh my God. Yes, if you can get the firstborn ram umbilical cord that has not fallen to the ground,
Yeah,
send it
so
send it to us. You'll be richly rewarded in this life and in the afterlife.
mhm. So yeah, you take from a firstborn ram an umbilical cord that has not fallen to the ground. And after mixing in myrrh, you apply it to the door's bolts when you want to open a door. You say the spell, and you will open it immediately. Open up for me, door bolt. Be opened, door bolt. Because I am Horus the Great, Archephren Epsu Hiragix, son of Osiris and Isis. I want to free from the godless Titan. Immediately, quickly, quickly.
That might be a bit too dark. I don't know if that needs to be edited out.
Sorry, I was gonna segue, but the joke I was gonna make is also way too dark.
Nasty.